Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. We are out bright and early today because we have a busy day today. It is Saturday. We have soccer games all day and it is this boy's birthday. His first birthday. So we want to do something special. I think we're just going to take him with us to the soccer game, let him run around and stuff like that. And then we have a little dog cookie for him. So it should be a fun day. Jason and I wanted to get out early in the morning and get some things planted. Today on my planting list, I need to get my September blooming garden planted. I am so late this month. I've pretty much been late every single month. So it's just end of the month blooming garden. For those of you who don't know, I have been planting specific plantings every month this year that will bloom that month. So then come next year, when I come around every single month, I'll have something really beautiful to focus on and to focus on its blooms. So it's been really fun and it's been kind of a stretch to really focus on what plants are blooming that time, that month. And this month, September, it's Buddleia season. It is definitely butterfly bush season, and I have some beautiful, beautiful plants to show you. So what I'm planting today for my September blooming garden are 5 Pugster Amethyst Buddleias. They're so beautiful. I've planted these before, and they have the most gorgeous blooms. You can't really tell. These have been sitting for a while. They're a little faded, but I have a feeling I'll get a couple more blooms off of these this year. Next year, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. So the Pugster series is a really interesting series because it's short. It's short and squat and cute, and it was named after a pug dog, which is short and squat and cute. But the really cool thing about these, if you live in cooler areas, their stems are really stocky. They're thick. So if you experience a lot of winter dieback, the Pugster series Buddleia is going to be really good for you. It's zones 5 through 9. So if you're in zones 5 or 6, this is probably the Buddleia that you want to go for. The Pugster Buddleias get about 2 feet tall and 2 feet wide. And compare that to, like, say, a Miss Molly butterfly bush that I have over in my orchard garden that I love. And by the way, there have been monarch butterflies all over it. Jason got some good footage of it the other day. Just simply absolutely beautiful. But those guys get about 4 to 5 feet tall and 4 to 5 feet wide. And then if you remember, when we first moved into our garden, I had a huge butterfly bush right here in the front of the center island. That thing was, 10 feet tall. So they can get really, really, really big, which makes the Pugster series really fun. So Pugster series comes in a couple different colors. It comes in Amethyst, it comes in Pugster Blue, which is like the OG. It comes in pink, pinker, white, and one more, and periwinkle. So a really wide range of colors that make this series really, really interesting. Now, as I'm sitting here talking about butterfly bushes, I'm sure there's a lot of you thinking, aren't they invasive? Aren't they plants that we're not supposed to plant? Well, only in certain areas of the country. So in certain areas, butterfly bushes are considered invasive, and there are even certain areas where it is illegal to plant them, particularly in Oregon and Washington. And so in Oregon and Washington, you're not going to get your hands on the Pugster series, which is unfortunate, but there are other varieties, non-invasive varieties of Buddleia that you can plant in those areas, but they're not called Buddleia. They're still Buddleias, but they're not called that. They're called summer lilacs. So a couple of the varieties that are considered non-invasive, and when I say considered, they actually have to get the certification to be non-invasive. And what that means is they have a germination rate for their seeds that are less than 2%, and they are what's called a wide cross. And a wide cross is a cross between the OG Buddleia, Davidii, I can't say that word, and then another variety of Buddleia. And that wide cross makes it so that they are sterile, they don't set seed, and the pollen does not help with fertilization. So they're basically not going to go anywhere. So the varieties that are certified as non-invasive so there used to be a series in Proven Winners called the Lo and Behold series. That series has actually been discontinued, which is such a bummer because it was a really good series. But the one that I love, Miss Molly, that is certified as non-invasive. And most of the Miss series are. There's Miss Violet, Miss Ruby, and then there's also another one named Miss Pearl, which doesn't have its certification yet, but it still is, it still is non-sterile. Or it still is sterile. It just needs to go through the paperwork of getting certified. So you can't buy Miss Pearl yet in Oregon and Washington, but you will eventually because it's still the same thing. It's less than 2% germination rate. It's a wide cross, and the pollen doesn't contribute to fertility at all. So, you just kind of got to do your homework. If you live in the Pacific Northwest or any other area where Buddleia is considered invasive, you have to see if there's varieties that you can plant to get this beautiful look. And butterfly, like I said, butterflies love it. Now, butterflies love it as a source of food, but not a source of like a way station, not a place for them to lay their eggs. So if you plant butterfly bushes, don't think that that's all you have to do for pollinators. You need to plant a wide variety of other plants as well. But they're beautiful. I love them, and I want them all over my garden because in my area, they are not invasive anywhere at all, And they actually are really beautiful and grow really, really well in our heat. Are you a happy boy? It's your birthday. You're such a mess. No, don't come near me. No, don't come near. Stop. Monty, I can't yell at you because it's your birthday, but stop. Can you help me? Do you see what he did? I'm a mess. I think he knows it's his birthday. He's in a very good mood today. He's very excited. So I have 5 beautiful Pugster amethysts that I am going to be planting in the long border because I think it'll be really pretty. The long border is full sun, which is exactly what you need for Buddleias. You need 8 hours of sun, solid 8 hours of sun. 6 might cut it, but 8 hours is definitely better. Even in hot areas of the country. Some places, if you live in a hot area, you can get away with a little bit less sun because you need afternoon shade. Not these guys. These guys definitely need full sun. So long border will definitely give that for sure. I'm going to be planting 3 here, and then I'll be planting 2 more just to kind of continue the planting, or what should I say, repeat the color a little bit further down the long border. For Buddleias, sun is super important and drainage is super important. They can rot out really, really easily. So it's super important that you have good draining. So for instance, I would never be able to plant, oh, by the way, look at the center island. Yeah, big changes here. So sad. All the flowers are gone. We got some compost delivered and we're starting to spread out the compost. We've marked out the dry creek bed. Why do I always blank on that word? I always blank on that word. We've marked out the dry creek bed, and then we're starting to spread the compost just outside the dry creek bed so that we can start planting some things before it's too late in the fall. Anyway, let me take you guys over here. So this area of my garden right here has absolutely terrible drainage. That's why I planted this hibiscus right here, because I was really, really worried about planting anything else. So I would never be able to plant something like a Buddleia there because I know that Buddleia would just rot almost immediately. Now, the other trick to planting Buddleias is that you even want to plant them a little bit higher than the level of your ground. So the root ball needs to stick out about 1 inch or 2 above the level of your ground, which is going to help with that drainage. It's going to make sure that the water doesn't pool in around the stem or the trunk of the Buddleia, and just make sure that those roots kind of stay out of any water. If you have a Buddleia that dies in the spring, like it just doesn't wake up basically. And I do want to say Buddleia they take a really, really long time to wake up. So be really patient to wait for it to wake up. Don't worry, it'll come. But if it doesn't come, it's probably not because the cold got it, not because it was, frost or frozen or anything like that. It's probably because it was sitting in too much cool, damp soil, like too much water over the winter. And then the last tip I'll give you all for planting Buddleia is to plant in the fall only if you live in warmer environments. So I'm zone 9 and I'm planting in the fall, but I still have like 8 weeks until my first frost. So I have plenty of time for these guys to set in. If you're in cooler zones, like Pugster Amethyst is zones 5 through 9, if you're in zones 5 or 6, you should probably wait until spring to plant. You should not do fall planting because it'll just get too cold too quickly. The growth, you know, the stems and the foliage will probably get frostbitten and you'll have a lot of dieback, which is not what you want. What is going on? What's happening? Don't come near me. God. Oh my God. What is your deal today? So there you have it. I've got 2 Pugster Amethysts down there and then a repeat of that, 3 more right here. And I am not going to touch these this winter, this fall or winter. You really don't want to do fall pruning on Buddleia because the new growth can, you know, get nipped by the cold. You really want to wait until spring and you want to wait until you start seeing some new growth on your Buddleia. So basically what you'll see is you'll see like green buds. And then once you see that, that's where you know where you can prune. You can prune just above the green buds, and that's the best way to do it. Now, you definitely want to prune your Buddleia. It's very important. If you don't prune your Buddleia, it starts becoming, you know, the second story plant where basically the blooms are only on the top. Now that's even with these dwarf varieties that only get 2 feet tall. You want them to bloom in like this big ball. So making sure that you prune them is important. The smaller the plant is, the less you're gonna have to prune, obviously. If you have one of the big ones, you're gonna have to prune a lot. So spring pruning is absolutely the best. Remember that it's gonna wake up late, so be super, super patient with it. And I am not gonna fertilize these. They really don't need a lot of fertilizing. If you want to, you can fertilize them with a shrub and tree fertilizer in the spring. But I mean, like, look at all the compost I have. It's plenty. They don't need a lot of food. What they need is they need sun and they need good drainage. There. Get it? Okay, did we get it?
You got it. We're in.
Oh, phew. Tell everybody what this is for.
This is to have a trained dog instead of a crazy dog.
The dirty dog's outside and he needs training. And we were waiting until he was neutered. Spayed. Neutered. Yeah. So now he's neutered. He's all recovered. We are going to intensive dog training and I'm very excited about it because look what happens. So basically it is a 7-week intensive training class, just 1 day per week. But it is at this dog training place that you have to, like, it is 8 a.m. and we had to sign on at like 7:57 to be able to get a spot in this class. I've tried to get another spot and I didn't get it. And so then as then we decided to just wait until he was neutered and then we could try and sign up again. So we had like 5 alarms just to make sure we would come inside. And it's so funny that it is on his birthday. But we got him in dog training. Okay, so I have not shown you guys the kitchen since we got the cabinets taken out. It's not done yet. I haven't been showing you because it's not totally done yet. You can see we don't have all of our handles installed and we still need like there's a hole in the ceiling. But you can see the countertops. The countertops are absolutely beautiful. I love them. I'm so happy with them. And I'm so happy that the big hanging cabinets are down. It just made such a huge, huge difference for us. So I'm in here because I need to grab my sweet peas, which have been soaking overnight. I need to get my sweet peas sown. So sweet peas need about 4 to 5 weeks before you can plant them out. So for my cool flower planting, I usually transplant out my seedlings around Halloween. So we're about 4 weeks away, a little bit over that. So it's time to get these guys sown. And like I said, last night I put all of these in water just to soak them. It's not technically necessary, and I've done it before without soaking, but it definitely does help with your germination rate. It's also not technically necessary to transplant to grow these indoors. They can be direct sown, and I actually direct sowed these last year by just kind of throwing them in the garden, literally doing nothing. But I want a little bit more control, and if you have trouble with slugs and snails, you might want to think about transplanting, especially if you're planting them in the spring. Now, if you live in a warm area like I do, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you plant your sweet peas in the fall. It's super important. Sweet peas, they like cool weather. They like their roots to be cool. And if you plant them out in the spring, around your last frost date, if you live in a warm area, it gets warm too quickly, so the roots can't really develop, and sometimes they don't even bloom. You miss your window. So if you live in a warm area, planting them in the fall is super important because that gives you all winter for the root system to develop in cool soil. And then as soon as it hits spring, the blooms will start and you'll have such a longer bloom time. If you live in a cooler area, then obviously spring planting is better for you. But I would say for zones 7, 8, 9, maybe. I mean, let me know about 7 if you plant in the spring or the fall, but definitely zones 9, you need to fall plant. So I ended up getting 4 different varieties of sweet peas for next year. I really, really want to up my sweet pea game, and I got a lot of them. I got 4 packs of each of these because I want a lot of sweet peas and I want them to reseed and all that kind of stuff. So the first one I got is called Jewels of Albion, and this one is actually a mix of 5 different sweet peas. You can see the colors, and this is supposed to be a heat tolerant mix. It's supposed to handle heat a lot better than other varieties. So I'm interested to see how this one is going to be able to handle our heat. Then I got this one, which I just thought was so incredibly interesting. This is called Kupani's Original, and the reason why it's called that is because it can be traced back to the very first wild sweet peas that were found in Sicily, in Italy. And they were found by an Italian monk named Kupani, and he's the one who actually got the seeds and sent them back to England so that we could start growing sweet peas from seed. So this is like the OG sweet pea, which I think is so fun, and I think that they're really, really beautiful, and they say they're heat tolerant as well. So excited to see how those do. This one I got from Swallowtail Seeds, and I've gotten sweet peas from Swallowtail Seeds before, and they've performed really, really well. This is called Miss Willamette. So they say it is a blend of pink, orange, and apricot-colored blooms. Vines grow to 6 feet tall. It's an heirloom that was first introduced in 1901, which is crazy, and it's named after, it's a tribute to a famous garden writer, Miss Ellen Wilmot, that I know nothing about, and I need to research her for sure. I would like to know about her. So I'll see how these do. I got less of these. I think I only have 20 of these. And then finally, I got the Elegance Salmon Rose from Johnny's. And I've actually grown these before. They're beautiful. They're bright. They're just this gorgeous salmon-y color. And Johnny's always performs really well for me. So those are mine. I'm going to be taking these out to my potting area where I have some of my Bootstrap seed starting trays ready, and I'll be potting these up. Done here. Not my best seed sowing, a little bit messy, but that's okay. I accidentally over soaked the seed starting mix, but that is fine. It'll dry out and these sweet peas are going to be super happy. So what I ended up doing with my Bootstrap trays, these are my 6-cell Bootstrap trays, these things right here. I'm out of tags of what are they, like labels, and so I thought, okay, well, if I just label one of the colors, then I'll know each of the other colors are that same variety. So Miss Wilmot, they're all in orange. Salmon, Elegant Salmon, they're all in pink. Albion is all in purple, and then Kupani's Original is all in green. So having different colored trays, very useful. So I'll go put these in here underneath my seed starting shelves. I get a lot of people asking me why I start seeds indoors when there's no frost. We have the opposite problem. We have where it's too hot to start seeds outside. So we have to start them inside where there's actually air conditioning going. I know, it's kind of funny. So these will be getting started inside. I have a bunch extra. So I think I'm just going to go throw these places and see if they come up. I think that will be really fun if they come up somewhere. And just kind of see how they do. So this boy needs a bath and this girl needs a shower, and then we're going to go to soccer. We've got 2 soccer games and we will celebrate with Monty for the rest of the day. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.